The current arrangement, where it is only the National Assembly that can make laws on drugs and poisons, made access to drugs difficult, as it is only the federal government that can grant licenses for its manufacture, use, and related matters. This arrangement needs to be reviewed to allow for state House of Assemblies to have power to make laws on drugs and poisons. This will afford easy access to drugs, and state governments can grant licenses to manufacturers to use and dispose of the drugs in their respective jurisdictions. This bill is supported by almost all the 36 governors of this country. The APC progressive governors have met and they deliberated on this, and they have given its assent to the alteration of the Constitution as far as this is concerned. So I call on all honorable members and honorable Speaker to support that this bill be allowed to be read for the second time.
Have to be taken seriously. I watched United States of America when Dr. Kachia, what's he called? Being respected globally, not only in the United States of America, by making sure rules that guide issues of pandemic is structured from the federal up to the state. States are not allowed to take a contrary view to such issues that pertain issues of drugs and other auxiliary issues. Mr. Speaker, I believe that as is contained in the exclusive list should be allowed. Because we're talking issues of drugs. We're not talking issues of lesser issues that states House of Assembly can deal with. So I believe, Mr. Speaker, for the first time, you disagree with my friend, Honorable Abbas Tajudi, on these critical issues, that such issues of drugs should be allowed for nation, and for National Assembly to look at it at all time. And it shouldn't be part of a function that can be devolved to state. Because I believe that every nation set a standard in issues of drugs. And when we begin to give it to state, there will be proliferation of most of different standards of drugs all over the country. And at that time, we have yielded to state.
This bill states clearly drugs and poison. On the drugs issue, I think it's a good bill. We should be specific with the sort of drugs. With poisons as well, I think there should be specification on the sort of poisons you want to remove from the exclusive list. I think that is the issue here, but it's a very good bill.
The bill in question is a very simple subject matter. Mr. Speaker, we are not talking about Panadol. Neither are we talking about Panadol Extra. We are talking about drugs and poison. Mr. Speaker, I completely told the line of Honorable Osai. Let us not trivialize these issues. Please, sir. Thank you very much.
It is very important because of the trends and what is acceptable all over the world. Current practices and the implications of loose, non-consistent drug policies all over the world. The health implications. Mr. Speaker, our drug and poison policy must be nationalistic in outlook. It has to cut across boundaries, state or otherwise. What is important is that we cannot afford a situation where legislation in one state is weak and legislation in drugs and poison in another state is strong. The implication is that we run the risk of major impact, major negative effect of drug in one state, and people peddling drugs, poison, and all hazardous chemical substances run to a state, and we run the risk of wreaking havoc on health of individuals and citizens of that state. I strongly support my honorable colleague that we should leave this matter of drug and poisons, even from the context, we know how dangerous these substances are. The legislation must be national.
Return or get the transferred drugs and poisons from exclusive list to concurrent, meaning that both parties can handle it. It will give us a better control of drugs. The name of heading is deceptive. Drugs, poison. Poison does not mean something that kills instantly. Currently, we sell poisons in the market, but you sign a note before you buy poison. We go to pharmacy, we buy poison. They have a poison register. Right now, we must make Nigeria move by decongesting this place. NAFDAC is not in my village. They sell poison and drugs there. NAFDAC do not have state offices. They don't have the capacity. And what this law is saying, make it in a way that states can also partake in drug and poison administration. Are we saying states are stupid? Are we saying that states are idiots, they'll go and get poison to themselves? They are also bothered, but they cannot act. They can't begin to arrest. They can't begin to discipline because it's considered a federal concern. It's a federal crime. What is it that we are observing in other climes? Why can't we have it in Nigeria? Mr. Speaker, he is not saying that, I don't know how many of us have read the bill in line of it. He is saying for easy administration and greater control. If anybody could clamor for state police, it's the same applicable principles. So drug is a menace hitting us hard. Illegal substance is hitting us hard. We must give the states the opportunity to also control, to also regulate, to also forestall, to also stop it. Let us be sentimental about it. I may ask, what is the practice in UK? What is the practice in United States? Mr. Speaker, the drug law in Michigan is not in Chicago. The drug law in New York is not the same thing in Washington. We can Google it. We don't need to go far. You don't need to go far. So what I'm saying is, yes, Mr. Sai, I will. You know that. Yes, Mr. Speaker, I will round up. Even the so-called Indian Hemp Act, some states have liberalized it. Before us here, there's a bill waiting for the liberalization and control of Indian hemp plant. People get cannabis oil. It's lucrative. It's money. A pint of cannabis oil is worth a lot of hundreds of dollars. It's richer than crude oil. People expect we buy it for pharmaceutical use when we can also grow it. Some people are, the bill is before us here. We've not thrown it away. So the argument here is now, let it go to a wider debate. It must do the second reading.
NAFDAC, I'm not sure they have any office in my state. Neither do they have in my local government. Neither do they have in my ward. All these things are expected to permeate to the grassroots. And the effects of most of all these substances, these hard drugs, and all these poisons are mostly felt at the grassroots. So allowing states to make laws for the effective control of all these things will even give it a broader approach to control them.
There are so many issues of national concern that are devolved between the federal and the states. For example, road traffic management. We have Federal Road Safety Agency and we have VIOs in the states. And we find there's no much conflict among the two. So if you allow this to be in the concurrent legislative list, it is the choice of a particular state to implement or even to stay aloof and allow it to be controlled by the federal. It is not something that is sacrosanct that when we pass it here, all states will come along and align themselves with what we have passed here. But at least one of us have opined that this thing should be allowed to go on concurrent list. We should support him. It's a good idea, it's a beautiful idea, and we should allow it to go.
Whether there are licensed drugs, they get still abused. There are adulterations everywhere. And what you need to ask, Mr. Speaker, is to what extent are the federal authorities enabled to check this menace? I understand that there could be challenges spreading yourself thin regarding setting up authorities that will control in 37 states. Mr. Speaker, this federal government needs to shed weight. It needs to shed weight. It needs to leave some responsibilities for the constituent parts of the federation. So I think that this, in spite of there are some negatives around it, but it is better interrogated by professionals in public hearing. Let us subject it to scrutiny. It is only that you can have a knowledge-based decision.
The good intention of the mover of this amendment bill should not be undermined because he is operating on a safe pedestal. He is asking this House to move this subject matter to the concurrence list, not to move the matter to the residual list, where the state will have absolute control on the matter. In a situation whereby the agitation or the mover is asking for like a double play and a joint play between the center and the state on a matter that is so important like the drugs and poison matter in this country, I think it's a win-win situation. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, honorable members, it is my belief that when this bill passed to second reading and subsequently gets amended on the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, it will rather strengthen the effective management of drugs and poison in this country. The governors at the state level will have the room to contribute, to contribute and support the center, and the center will also have the same opportunity to do it. And when a matter is subjected to a concurrent list, honorable members, let me remind us, it is still within the purview of the center to supersede in a situation whereby the state contradicts the central position of the center. It is still the position of the center that prevails. So I think it's a win-win situation. Just like other members have said, I would like to plead with this honorable House to please allow this bill get to the second reading, and we will all join it at the public hearing. Members of the Nigerian public will also come to contribute and give us their own contribution as to the way and manner we shall handle this bill. But in my opinion, it is a very good bill, well intended, and this House of the people of Nigeria should have every reason to support this bill.
The question now is that those in favor that the bill be read second time, say aye. Against, say nay. There will be no division in this House by the grace of God. Please, colleagues, let's use our normal voice. We should avoid. Those in favor that the bill be read second time, say aye. Against, say nay. The next